Welcome back. I hope you're all doing well. There's something super simple that I want to talk about today regarding Jujutsu Kaisen, and that is Gojo. The perspective we have for him throughout the entirety of the narrative and how it builds, formulates, creates, and gives birth to this very specific success that is the Shibuya arc. See, Gojo within the narrative is a very interesting character. The amount of power that he has, the influence or fear that he spreads, uniqueness that he upholds is something completely unmatched. When you hear the name Gojo, you know stuff is about to go down. You know someone is about to be obliterated, and Akatami does a lot to make you pay attention to him. A mentor, a teacher, a friend. Even though he's not the main character, the amount we see of him plays a very massive role in our perception of not only him, obviously as an individual, but how it shapes our understanding towards the Shibuya arc much later on. A very difficult thing to have within a story is a character that is unmatched in power, someone that cannot be defeated whatsoever. Because you create this very unusual and weird power balance that other characters have to catch up to, because you can't bring that powerful character down. At least normally you wouldn't want to bring that powerful character down. You can't weaken them, especially if they've already shown off their power. You can't have someone belittle them or defeat them with power or defeat them in a very cherry-picked type of way. You need something that makes sense. You need something that has value and weight behind it, and that's even if you want to get rid of that character. It needs to be easily digested by readers, especially if the readers have come to understand that this character right here is the strongest of the strongest. Nothing else will defeat them. When you have a character like that, there is a litany of options that you can go down. And Akatami probably goes down one of the more simplistics, but its effects and what it gives birth to within Shibuya is tremendous. And it happens all throughout the beginning of the story, making us come to understand Gojo as a character, what his power is, how much influence and fear he spreads, and more importantly, what he upholds. You see, because of how strong Gojo is, he quite literally upholds the balance of the sorcery world. There is no one else like him. The Six Eyes ability already has a reputation, but the powers that he has showcased, the name that he has built for himself, regardless of being the Six Eyes, is already just as influential. And we see those very moments in the most detailed way possible. Some fights, situations, or scenarios that he arrives within, he will completely bring it to a halt every single time. There's a reason why he's so lackadaisical within some of these fights, playing it off like it's kind of annoying or even humorous. His attention to threats or stressful situations is almost non-existent because no one can literally touch him. But also the power to completely eviscerate individuals off the face of the earth quite entirely comes with ease for him. So the more you build this perspective up for this character, the more you come to understand that no one's going to defeat this individual, the more impactful it becomes when we get fooled, when our perspective gets kind of betrayed, and it comes in two different forms, and funny enough, they're backed off one another. The Gojo flashback and the fight between him and Toji, and how it leads into and creates this very unsettling mindset going into Shibuya. See, we knew Shibuya was going to be big, but not to the scale that it ended up being, not to the perfection that it was crafted within. For me, Shibuya is a masterclass in storytelling and creating a war arc that shouldn't be as successful because of how early it's pushed within the narrative. This is a war arc that should probably be 200, 300 odd chapters down the line, but it takes place within chapter 80, and the groundwork or the foundation for it starts all the way back in chapter 1, and it's in the form of Gojo. What's important about that Gojo versus Toji fight is one very specific thing, that even though this is a time where Gojo wasn't as powerful as he was, he could actually be defeated. And not by another individual that outpowers him, but another individual that becomes his hard counter. Someone that has no cursed energy whatsoever. Someone that is fighting Gojo with pure strength and ability and speed and perception and understanding of the battlefield. This is the peak and showcase of human evolution. This isn't a clash of powerhouses. This is a clash of the respected best of the best within their field. Now, to be entirely fair, this is not Gojo's prime. It's prior it. He's still learning his abilities. His Limitless isn't necessarily completed in the same way that it is within the main story, but he is still well and truly the strongest, and we see him get slapped around. It's quite surprising, especially because we've never seen it before, and even though it's within his past, you still don't really expect it. What this fight does, even though it takes place in the past, even though it showcases a stage of Gojo that is incomplete and prior to his prime, it gives you a sense of dread that has not been birthed before, that Gojo can be defeated, that there is someone out there like Toji, the pinnacle of their own respected field, could potentially beat Gojo. Now, while it does clash with your own understanding of what Gojo is in the main timeline, in the present, in his prime, you start to put yourself back at ease. Do you see how it brings in the questions? It brings in this disruptance where you were so confident that no one could defeat Gojo, but now you've just seen him be smacked around by someone that does not have cursed energy whatsoever, by someone that does not have a domain expansion or techniques or any sort of hidden abilities up their sleeve. This is heavenly restriction turned to the max of human capabilities, mixed with some very polarizing weaponry. The other thing that this flashback does is it builds and plays upon the relationship of Gojo and Geto, which is just as vital to understanding why Shibuya works and why Gojo being sealed away makes sense. Without their relationship, without building upon it, without understanding both sides and kind of how they played upon one another, Shibuya wouldn't have been as impactful and it wouldn't have made sense. But you can start to see the layers peeling back bit by bit. So when you finally move into Shibuya, the first thing that genuinely happens, for the most part, very early within the arc, is Gojo being sealed away, but it's not by power. It's not someone overpowering him or defeating him or belittling him so much where he's in such a weakened state. It's nothing close to that. They beat him emotionally. They beat him mentally, which is a side of Gojo that we've rarely seen, and the only first snippets of it were within that flashback, were with Geto and his team. When Geto reveals himself, Gojo's mind races, and it's enough for the prison realm to take effect, ultimately sealing Gojo away, kicking off the Shibuya arc without the biggest powerhouse and the pinnacle pillar of the sorcery world. Undoubtedly, Akutami has done a very beautiful job in fooling us and playing Gojo in probably the most accurate and beautiful way you could. With Gojo out of the picture, the story changes completely, and we're seeing the effects of it right now. The Culling Games is about to start, and the power of curses and individuals is rising at a rapid pace. Gojo kept this all in check, and with Shibuya, his presence and effect has been plummeting very quickly, so you can imagine when he comes back, everything will be different. And so will he. The response he takes, the emotional fortitude that he's going to put himself through, and the people he will absolutely devour is a moment I know a lot of us are super excited for. To see Gojo unsealed, returned, and to wreak havoc like nothing we have ever seen. Until that point, however, we can revel in the marvelous handling of his character and the perception for it, and how it was manipulated and used to warp our perspective and pull the wool over our eyes in the best way possible, to make his loss, his sealment, the most impactful it could be, to give birth to such a incredibly conceptualized arc and its perfect execution. It all starts with him, and it starts with our understanding of him. Akutami couldn't have done a better job. So with that being said, that is basically it. I would like to know what is some of your favorite moments with Gojo as a character, and more specifically what you expect him to do when or if he gets unsealed. There's a lot of things building up currently, and him being unsealed is something a lot of people are super excited for. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. But I want to thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed. New video every 3 days. Drink plenty of water, and I will see you within the next one. Goodbye.